Welcome mates, I'm BloodThirstyLord, but you can call me Lordy, and today we're back on a new game, and that is the Callisto Protocol, a scary horror game, survival mechanics at its finest, as you play as Jacob Lee, your protagonist, in a third-person perspective, mimicking Dead Space, influenced by it heavily, since it does have the same developers that left from Visceral Games and now have moved on to their own studio at striking distance. But there are reviews going out right now, or very soon, on Callisto Protocol, and one of those reviews have leaked, and we're going to talk about that within this video, and highlight the game time and how much you can do in the actual game itself, alongside discussions about performance as well. So you mates do not want to miss out on this video. Make sure to click the subscribe button and also the bell notification button with all notifications on to keep up to date, and also press that join button to become a member on the channel. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. The Callisto Protocol is one of my most anticipated games of the year due to the fact that I'm such a big Dead Space fan. I played up the trilogy recently, had a lot of fun playing on the hard difficulty, and from Dead Space 1 to 2 to 3, you can see the shift in the games and how they end up being, and this game is supposed to fulfill that criteria of what Dead Space 3 would have been if it was handled by Visceral Games directly and with no interruptions in the process, alongside no initiatives being placed onto them at that point of time, which kind of led the game to a bad point. And that's why Dead Space 3 is not always seemed to be like a found memory for anyone, but Dead Space 1 and 2, usually 1 mostly, are just great games, and be able to see this game come out, it has the chance to fix the error that once was and be able to create something new, something that should have been the end of what Dead Space was, but through a new franchise, a new IP, the Callisto Protocol. That is why I'm so excited for it. Most anticipated game, long awaited, and I can't wait to play this on day one. And all the previews leading to this moment have been quite hype. Yes, there might seem to be some performance issues that we're going to talk about during this video as well, because I feel like we should address it so the mates know about it as well. But let's talk about the review. One of the reviews got leaked by one of the actual news outlets, which was Yahoo UK. They have a news outlet that covers games, and they decided to cover Callisto Protocol. But alongside that, they didn't actually abide to the embargo date. They released the information too early, and I believe they tried to redact it, but then they end up just retracting it, and then it just disappeared. So you don't see it anymore. It's just gone. There's a URL for the headline highlighting the scariest horror game of the year, I believe, and that is there. That is the title for the headline, but there's nothing in the actual link that goes there. They've taken that away, and they will most likely publish that later when the embargo date has been reached for the Callisto Protocol. But alongside that, since we have a lot of mates keeping an eye out for the Callisto Protocol reviews, it's been snipped and also placed onto Reddit, and that's pretty much been seen by everyone, and they have the actual text document highlighting what was said in that review. So we got a bit of juicy information to discuss in this video, to say the least. But if you want a lot of background information about what Callisto Protocol is and what is expected in the gameplay, the lore, the actual experience to be had in Callisto Protocol, make sure to check out our previous video that's on screen right now. Click on the link and be able to watch that to see what Callisto Protocol is. So watch that if you want more information about Callisto Protocol. And the first part in the review they have leaked, it does showcase a lot of the lore and understanding of what the universe is about, and then it jumps into a bit more of the details about what the environments will be and what levels you'll be playing in as you're going through the Callisto Protocol. And in the prison of Black Iron Prison, there's multiple levels: the cell, the solitary confinement, and the habitat. And that is where oxygen is harvested, so I'm guessing oxygen will be a big part of this, be able to go to that area, get oxygen, then be able to go on a route to find something new, and then come back to the location. That could be the idea there. And there's also mining areas in there as well, amongst other areas as well. And as you're going through the game and completing the game at your own pace, you will start with a shiv, that's your starting weapon, and progress to other weapons during your journey, and then find an assault rifle of some sort and some other weapons on the way. And it does mention that enemies do scale up quite hard, so having an assault rifle is a great option to verse certain enemies, because they do evolve and they become more formidable enemies or foes in the game. So you would have certain weapons given to you to match a certain opponent at that time, pretty much evolving together at each point. So as you get stronger, also the threat does. And the threat being the mutating monsters and inmates from the game. And there's also a lot of understanding about the horror aspect being implemented through the no map feature. So navigating, there's no guidance. It's pretty much, you have to find out what you're doing as you go through the map. We talked about this prior. It's kind of an interesting mechanic because it could be really good or be really bad. But it also allows players to put more time into the game because they have to try and understand everything in order to progress at a good pacing, or be able to progress nonetheless. And there's also health and ammo mechanics that we expect from Dead Space being implemented in Callisto Protocol, alongside credits, a form of prison money which can be upgraded weaponry at the Reforged station, scattered around Black Iron. So there'll be stations where you purchase stuff, pretty much like a shop in Dead Space, the exact same mechanic, so expect that there. And the obvious factors being his health indicators on his back of his neck instead of his spine, so that's something to keep in mind. And in the review, they do highlight the superb graphics that are in the game. I believe they're playing on a PS5, so I don't know how it's going to be on PC. It should be better on PC, so we'll find out. And they express how great the sci-fi setting is, and the opponents and the expressions, the faces of your character, and the spooky feeling of Callisto Protocol against these monsters that seem to be gruesomely realistic. Yeah, kind of interesting, That's pretty much the majority of the review, and towards the end, it does highlight the game time. The game is only 12 to 14 hours long. So 12 hours only is kind of a number that people are going to get tilted by or be alright with. It just depends what part of the aspect you're going to fall into. Are you cool with a 12-hour experience to 15 hours most likely, including several aspects that you can go around the map and experience other things in the game, find Easter eggs, complete other objectives, whatever it may be. And it looks like in those other locations of the map, you'll be using stealth, brute force, or accurate shooting in order to complete certain objectives. And it does highlight that the game is well worth the price and pretty much giving it a great score for the game overall in their review for Callisto Protocol by Yahoo UK. Kind of an interesting review, as it does highlight a lot of things, being a 12-hour mark. I know that's going to tilt some people. For myself, I feel like that's alright to have an experience that is 12 to 15 hours, because that's an experience that maybe you won't forget. You go through the experience, you're like, yes, I had fun, let's do New Game Plus, or go back into the game, do a new build, or use a new weapon for that playthrough, or scale the difficulty even further, and discover new locations through my second playthrough if I didn't finish everything in the first one. And at that pacing, I think there will be around 20 hours to do 2 playthroughs of the game, enjoy the experience, have some fun, and I personally think that'll be quite memorable, like the old Dead Space games. And they also mention the graphics, but don't provide any data talking about performance issues or any performance indicators, but I'm guessing because they're playing on a PS5, it doesn't really show anything different, except being able to play on PS5 a game, so I'm guessing it runs pretty well on PS5, and that's usually a good indicator that it's going to run well on PC as well. So that's good to see. And also the weapons, that it does mention just a shiv and an assault rifle, it doesn't mention anything else between. We've seen other weapons in the trailer, but I'm guessing there isn't too many weapons on offer in order to play this full experience compared to like a Dead Space game. When Dead Space 3 ended up having so many weapons and weapon variants, be able to mix and match everything from the prior Dead Spaces. So I'm guessing that is something that isn't here, and we'll mostly have some stagnant weapons, which don't allow maybe that much modification, and end up just being a weapon that you pick up at a certain point of the game, and you can buy ammo for it if it's a gun, or be able to use it until it breaks, like a weapon, like a shiv or a pipe, whatever it may be. And they also have the same mechanics as Dead Space, being using oxygen to your advantage in certain areas in order to bypass some of the outside space of the dead moon of Callisto. Very intriguing to say the least, but one of the mates yesterday in our comment section did mention a game that I played in my childhood, and that was The Suffering. This game is an old school game, which does run the same idea of being in a prison, and it does have some striking resemblances to Callisto Protocol. Obviously, being in a prison as well, going through this and trying to survive against these creatures, these monsters, it is very, very interesting. So that comparison there is something to keep in mind, and that is the reason why I'm gravitating towards this game much more than many people are, due to the fact that it does fall into like a Dead Space vibe and the Suffering vibe together, and that's what you get, Callisto Protocol. Great to see. And now let's talk about the system requirements for PC when it comes to minimum and also recommended PC specs. And you see them on screen right now. It seems like they're decent quality builds, nothing too crazy. I would even say low budget to a certain degree, because it's based on 1060 and a 1070, when many people have moved on to the 20 series, 30 series, and even the 40 series now. So it's kind of insane that the game is supposed to be able to run at high graphics or a good amount of resolution on these PC parts highlighted on screen right now. It's able to break the bench for 1080p gaming at 60 FPS, possibly, but running this on 1440p, I don't think it's going to be running too well on this minimum spec. Maybe the recommended spec it can. Even then, I think it's pushing it. I think it needs a better GPU for the NVIDIAs especially. So from there, I think it can run pretty well. In my build right now, I have a 3080 Ti, and I pretty much customized my high-end PC, so I should be able to run this at pretty good graphics to say the least. So I can't wait to be able to experience the Callisto Protocol very, very soon. And that was a review leak from Callisto Protocol, talking about system specs and talking about the game in general, and highlighting some discussions about Callisto Protocol on the channel. So mates, if you did enjoy that, make sure to hit the like button and show the support by hitting the subscribe button, and have notifications on to keep up to date with the content as much as possible. And don't forget to join our Discord, linked in the description below, to be part of our amazing community, so make sure to join our Discord. But mates, tell me your opinions and thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you excited for Callisto Protocol? I'd love to know in the comment section down below. As always mates, it's a pleasure to have you guys on the channel as we go through this, and I'll catch you mates next time. Bye. Road to 200k subscribers. Let's get it mates.